Chapter 15. After these things the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am your shield, your reward shall be exceeding great. And Abram said, O Lord God, what wilt you give me, seeing I go hence childless, and he that shall be possessor of my house is Eliezer of Damascus? And Abram said, Behold, to me you have given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is to be mine heir. And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, This man shall not be your heir, but he that shall come forth out of your own bowels shall be your heir. And he brought him forth abroad, and said, Look now toward heaven, and count the stars, if you be able to count them. And he said unto him, So shall your seed be. And he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought you out of Ur of the Chaldees, to give you this land, to inherit it. And he said, O Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, Take me a heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle-dove, and a young pigeon. And he took him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each half over against the other, but the birds divided he not. And the birds of prey came down upon the carcasses, and Abraham drove them away. And it came to pass that when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram. And lo, a dread, even a great darkness, fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation, whom they shall serve, will I judge, and afterward shall they come out with great substance. But you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried in a good old age. And in the 4th generation they shall come back here, for the iniquity of the Amorite is not yet full. And it came to pass that, when the sun went down, and there was thick darkness, behold, a smoking furnace, and a flaming torch that passed between these pieces. In that day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto your seed have I given this land, from the river Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates, the Keni, and the Kenitzi, and the Kadmoni, and the Hittite, and the Perizzitzi, and the Rephaim, and the Amorite, and the Canaanite, and the Girgashi, and the Jebusi. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. We are picking up after the last chapter, after the battle of all the kings in that area. And Abram had went and got Lot, rescued him. Lot's that covering or that veil, and he brought him back. And we're going to get up with Lot and Sodom and them again in a little bit later on. But meanwhile, after these things had come to pass, Abram had given some thought and thought about these things, and we're going to find out the word of the Lord comes to him in a vision. We're going to pick it up right there in verse 1. After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram, in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am your shield, your reward shall be exceeding great. And it was after these things, when Abram had went forth, we'll find out he had justice and righteousness in mind when he went forth to get Lot. The word come to the Lord, a little bit of understanding, come to Abram in a vision. Abram is the Father is exalted, saying, Fear not, Abram, don't have no fear. We'll see that I am your shield, your reward shall be exceeding great. I am your shield, I am your protection. Abram realized the Lord had protected him, and there was a great reward in all that, in the understanding that he had. 2. And Abram said, O Lord God, what wilt you give me, seeing I go hence childless? And he that shall be possessor of my house is Eliezer of Damascus. So now Abram wants to know, what's he going to get seems that he doesn't have a child, that he hasn't a child to inherit what he is going to leave behind. He wants to know what will he give him. The word is that's used for Lord is the holy name, but we have this preposition to it, I would call it, this one, Adonai, and basically what it means is my sovereign, my one, the one, and I guess we would refer to this as the one whom Abram has relinquished his authority to. Eliezer here is this mighty one of support of Damascus. Damascus is that place where the sackcloth weavers working silently. 3. And Abram said, Behold, to me you have given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is to be mine heir. And Abram said, Behold, I don't have any children, and supposedly somebody that's born in my own house is supposed to inherit everything. Why should it be left to a stranger that has no understanding at all of the labor that's went into it? 4. And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, This man shall not be your heir, but he that shall come forth out of your own bowels shall be your heir. And the Lord said, Behold, now the word of this man shall not be your heir. An heir is somebody that's going to inherit everything that you've got, basically, or to inherit, to receive what you don't need anymore. It's to occupy what you have, to take over for the previous tenant, which was you, to possess their place, to take over, seize, in other words, to come in and take up where you left off. That's what an heir is. 5. And he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now toward heaven, count the stars, if you be able to count them. And he said unto him, So shall your seed be. And he brought him forth abroad, and to look abroad and see out the heavens above. He's looked now toward heaven. That was the skies above at that time, and count the stars. And the stars are many. The stars are the little lights, remember, some of the lights that the Lord set in the heavens. So at night there's not utter darkness, but there's little reminders of these understandings above us. And if you be able to count them, he said unto him, So shall your seed be, because there's no end of the number of them. 6. And he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. And he believed. He believed in the Lord. I mean, just his heart was set with intent now towards these things. He counted it to him for correctness, for righteousness, for right. 7. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought you out of Ur of the Chaldees to give you this land to inherit it. And here we have the Lord declaring, he says, I am the one that brought you out of Ur. Ur's the fire. Ur's the flames of the Chaldees. The Chaldees are the clod breakers, and they were supposed to be the wisest of all. But these flames here are going to be the judgments of the Chaldees, these wise ones that was over everybody in those days, or a great portion of it. And he said, I brought you out of there to give you this land, to inherit it, or to be heir to it. 8. And he said, O Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? So now Abram wants to know, how is he going to know that he shall inherit it? How is he going to have understanding of this? And he said unto him, Take me a heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. So the Lord tells him to take a heifer of 3 years old. 3 is something it's going to make it strong. It's going to strengthen it, and it's by virtue of witness, it to confirm, we could say, to complete it, to that understanding, the greater understandings even of old. This heifer is something that's going to add to the flock. It's going to add to it. And a she-goat of 3 years old. A she-goat, once again, 3, in the greater understandings of old, is to strengthen, to add to 3 being a number to complete. The she-goat is strengths, and that's what it adds, is the strengths in the flock. And a ram of 3 years old and 3, once again, is to complete the greater understands. A ram is something that exalts itself with powers even of old. And a turtle dove. Turtle dove is just a something that's looked at as peace. The word I'm looking for is loyalty. Stays close, we might think. A young pigeon, and this young pigeon, one that is, it's not yet, is just coming out of the nestling. It's more like a nestling, one that hasn't got all of its feathers yet. 10. And he took him all these and divided them in the midst, and laid each half over against the other, but the birds divided he not. And the birds didn't get divided for one reason. One bird was one witness, and the other bird was the other portion. But these 2 that he divided, the heifer, the ram, and the she-goat, all down the center. And that's when they are separated like that, they are divided. One's going to be for one side, the other's going to stand for the other side. That's the work and the witness. We can look at it to put it in a little more simpler terms, as we'll see. 11. And the birds of prey came down upon the carcasses, and Abram drove them away. And the birds of prey, these are those that have darkness under their wings, and they come down to feed, we can say, upon the carcass, that which is dead. They would come down upon these carcasses because there's death under their wings, is basically what it stands for. And Abram drove them away. The exalted Father drove off those birds of prey. A little meditation there. 12. And it came to pass that when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a dread, even a great darkness, fell upon him. And it came to pass, as the day went on, when the sun was going down, that way of enlightenment, the understanding's starting to sink in this, and these carcasses are laying there, and ain't nothing happening, and the sun's going down, and a deep sleep fell upon Abram. And lo, a dread, even a great darkness fell upon him. There was a dread and this darkness, like he was in no understanding. 13. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that your seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And the Lord said unto Abram, Know of a surety that your seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and that's to be in that place where you are a stranger. There's darkness. There's not much understanding. All of it's here, but it's just not making any sense. And they shall serve him. They shall afflict them 400 years. To serve is to be underneath someone else. It means someone else is over you, and they shall afflict them 400 years. 400, because that's the work of God in judgment, in the greater understandings. 14. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. And also that nation here we'll see is the one the Lord's going to use at any given time in history. Whom they shall serve, these ones that are going to be brought under. The Lord's going to judge. The Lord, will I judge? That's what the Lord said. And afterwards they shall come out with great substance. Great substance and a lot of understanding, we'll find out in the end of it all. Slowly getting their lessons as they go through this. Those that have to serve the Lord and in this humility. 15. But you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried in a good old age. But you shall go to your fathers in peace. You're not going to have these problems. You shall be buried in a good old age. In a time when we'll find out when things are good. There's rest. 16. And in the 4th generation shall they come back here, for the iniquity of the Amorite is not yet full. And in the 4th generation, 4th is a portion. 4th is a portion, and that portion is the work of God in the generation when they shall come back here. Here we're talking about that place where that land where that the Lord did give unto Abram. We'll find out. It goes from that river Euphrates to the river of Egypt. 17. And it came to pass that when the sun went down, there was thick darkness, and behold, a smoking furnace and a flaming torch that passed between these pieces. And it comes to pass. So now it's getting on in the day. A little darkness. Abram found that place the Lord was talking about. And it was when the sun was going down. Darkness was coming in. There was thick darkness. The moon wasn't probably giving her light at all. There was thick darkness, and behold, a smoking furnace. A smoking furnace. A smoking something that's going to give off, the furnace gives off a little bit of light, but the smoke's going to be a witness of it. I like to refer to as that which ascends, the witness of this furnace which is going upwards, and a flaming torch that passed between these pieces. And a flaming torch. This flaming torch here is going to be that which gives off the light, and it passed between these pieces. It's judgment, and that smoking furnace. It's going to, what it does is, as it passed between, we will find out one was acceptable and one wasn't. 18. In that day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto your seed have I given this land, from the river Egypt unto the river, great river, the river Euphrates. And the Lord said unto Abram, unto your seed have I given this. That's all that come from you. All that comes from you. I've given this land from the land of Egypt to, which is that land of crypts and snares and traps, I call it, land of graves, to the river of Euphrates. And Euphrates is that rushing river. We'll see that it has an audible sound to it as well. That rushes forth. 19. The Kenitzi, and the Cadmoni. The Kenny, we will find out also that it's going to include the land of the Kenny. Kennys are those of Cain, those that come from Cain, and that's that one that had the spear, or we remember he had set that mark on Cain, so no one could kill him. He had that rule, that power. And the Lord set it on his head, and it was like a crown. And the Kenitzi, and the Kenitzi are the those that hunt, those that go forth and hunt. It doesn't matter what they hunt anything. And the Cadmoni are those that were before, those that come before, those that were of old. 20. And the Hittite. The Hittite are those of terror, and the Perizzitzi, The Perizzi are those that dwell openly. The Perizzi, I like to refer them, those that broke out, got out the breach. They live freely or out openly. And the Rephaim. The Rephaim are those that come up short, those that quite didn't hit the mark, you might say. Some people would call them giants. That would be kind of backwards. 21. And the Amatri. The Amatri are the sayers, soothsayers. They were looked at in times past, those ones that always had some comforting words. And the Kanani. The Kanani are those of humility, those that have been humbled, those from Canaan. And the Girgashi. The Girgashi are those that dwell in the clay. The clay, that's that moistened portion of the earth. We might call it flesh. And the Jebusi. The Jebusi are those of Jebus. Jebus is that threshing place, that place that's threshed. And that's what this is, this place of threshing. Threshing, that's the place of separation. Threshing is done with whatever threshing instrument, usually a rod, and to thresh out and separate that portion which is going to be used, and that portion that's going to be given off and into the wind, we'll find out in time. We are going to move forward to Genesis 16. Turn and return.